Twitch is updated. Okay, looks like we're live. Awesome. So, I'm gonna wait a couple minutes to let people get in here real quick before I start talking. Probably we should start like 5 minutes before, typically, just to give people time to actually get to the Twitch if they are indeed coming. Um, let's see. So, all right. Um, I'm gonna start doing oxygen not included. So anyway, so this is episode 3 of DWACAAM. And my special guest star is SanQuake. DWACAAM is the working title that I've come up with for this show. It stands for Duck with a Controller and a Microphone. So if people hate it, I'll rethink it, but I don't know, it's kind of unique. I kind of like it. SanQuake, hello.
Hey, how you doing there?
I'm all right. How are you doing?
I'm good.
That's good.
Thank you for.
So right now it is 9 o'clock sharp in California. And what time is it in the city that you live in, or the region, if you'd not like to specify the city? Sandquake.
Uh, it's 10:30 p.m. in my country, and it's almost sleeping time here.
It's
But yeah,
like the world is round, and there's like different spots where the sun hits it. It's weird. I don't know how that works exactly. I thought it was flat. Um,
unless you're a flat earther.
right. And then there's a lot of other stuff going on, very complicated things involving the movement of the sun. But anyway, so just today I wanted to let the audience know that we will have 2 portions of the podcast thingy where I will ask for input from the audience. So if you guys could just be ready for that, that'd be great. I'll just pretty much it'll be like you'll ask us a question or introduce a topic at the end of the episode. So if you could be prepared for that, that'd be fantastic. So let's get to our first talking point, Sandquake. So we kind of came up with this together, but you really came up with this. So I'd like to talk about Hinduism in India and how it has influenced the people there. Sandquake, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, so I'm not sure if people really know a lot about Hinduism, but uh, Hinduism as a language, a holy thing, is something that was supposed to be a part of one's life rather than it being a religion on the whole. And notice that Hinduism doesn't have a historical founder for this, but it's one of the world's oldest religions, and it has its own complex roots and a lot of deities and different forms and
So
tremendous diversity in this. And
opposed to I don't mean to interrupt your stride here, but opposed to like Buddhism, where they have historically they have Buddha as the founder of their religion, or like Christianity has Jesus. You're saying Hinduism has no clear part where it started.
yes,
Oh,
exactly.
okay.
Unlike Jainism, Sikhism, or even with Buddhism, as you mentioned, Hinduism does not have a historical founder for this, and mostly this just has a very large body of sacred text and a couple of uh, uh, old text is what I can just think of right now. But yeah, the whole sacred text. So
Okay.
uh, this actually provided Hindus with rules governing such as daily activities, rituals, worship, pilgrimage, and whatnot. So this was just a foundation for a way of life.
Right.
And so the oldest of uh, these texts could be like thousands of years ago. At least is what I know. And one more thing is I could be uh, inaccurate or wrong with information
Oh
though,
yeah,
because
we forgot that. The SanQuake is not the ultimate
yeah,
authority on Hinduism, everybody, so if he gets something wrong, please don't hold it against him. He's just doing the best with what he has. Uh, so
yeah.
SanQuake,
Thank you for that.
what would you like to talk about? What else would you like to talk about with Hinduism? Please tell me some things about it because I don't know much about it.
Yeah, sure. So Hinduism actually developed over many centuries with a variety of sources, with not just cultural texts but cultural practices and what say philosophical movements as well, and some local popular beliefs as well. Although this includes a lot of uh, probably a bit of occult and superstitious beliefs,
Okay.
and I think these combination of all these factors is actually what makes Hindu practices and beliefs, and they're a huge source of practices. It has Hinduism has its roots from, and some of the evidences was dated back till Indus Valley civilization. I'm not sure if you know about that. It's actually located now in Pakistan, or
Okay.
which was not which was northwestern India back then. So
Right.
almost
The
like around
countries that exist today weren't around a long time ago, like anywhere.
yeah.
I mean, so could you tell me a bit about like the philosophy of Hinduism? Like, how are you supposed to treat other people?
Uh, Definitely not not the way it's being treated in today's world.
Well, but specifically, like, how are you supposed to do it?
Yes. Uh, well, this can get a little complex, and it's not an easiest way to answer this, but I will try this.
Sure.
Uh, well, if you actually look at the roots of Hinduism, it just has its roots with non-violence, and
Okay.
and violence isn't like promoted here. Uh, there are four sacred scriptures which talk about a huge variety of information. The four Vedas. It's called as Rig Veda and Samaveda and Yajurveda.
Okay.
The last ones being Atharva Veda. These are the four Sanskrit scriptures, and people uh, and people just go on to follow either one of them among the four. And uh, talking about this diversity in the Vedas, it has its own way of uh, rituals and the way you actually gotta live your life, and it has a huge scripture, and it just isn't easy to talk about this because it's way too much. And uh,
Well, I'm just going for bare bones. Like, how should you like what? Explain to me like what karma is. We're just going for broad strokes here. Just give me an idea of Hinduism because you know a lot more about it than I do.
yes, so karma in Hinduism, it's like a concept where, let's say, uh, you try to scam a person and you just go on living your life, but that's actually going to hit you back again in the future, and you just don't know when it's going to happen or how it's going to happen. But it's a belief that it's going to harm you back again, like what goes around comes back.
Comes
So
back to get you. Yeah, I think that
yeah.
even in Western society, we have a vague idea of what karma is because a lot of it's a popular, well, it's a common idea as far as that. So, so there's also reincarnation in Hinduism, right? Like you live multiple lives.
Yes, there is this concept called reincarnation, but it just doesn't have uh, proper evidences to actually state something of this. But this is what reincarnation actually means. So uh, once you leave this life and you die, you're going to uh, take birth in your next life as a form of something else. Could be some animal, or you could be born as a human again. But and that depends on your karma actually, and it depends on the deeds that you actually made in your previous life that's actually going to affect in your next life. So let's say you actually contributed a lot in this life, and lead you led a prestigious life, and being a philanthropist or being a great asset to the society, and you're just going to be born as a human in the next life. And it is also believed that uh, what you actually missed in the previous life, you might just get those thing in your next life.
So what happens if you
So
lead a really good life, like you're a really good person? Maybe not necessarily philanthropy, but you do things in life that are right. You treat other people's well, and you try not to, harm other people. What happens then?
yes, your next life is just going to be fruitful, and you just might have a good life in your next life as well.
Would there
That's what's
be
going to
would
happen.
you be reincarnated as an animal if you did really well?
No, you would be reincarnated as a human again, because a human life is considered most prestigious and most honored than any other animals.
Makes sense to me. So that's interesting. So karma, would it necessarily hit you in this life that you're in right now, or could it be in the next life that you get hit with karma?
Uh, it depends though. You just, as far as I know, I don't think you would be able to distinguish on whether it's going to hit you now or in the next life. But let's say uh, you just done something that's very harmful to another person or another soul, uh, and it's going to affect you in the near future, or if you didn't live long enough to uh, for it to hit you back.
Like if you
you,
died
you
as a child or as an infant, even.
yes, you could just use that as an example, and that's going to hit you in your next life when you take a rebirth.
So, doing good things
Oh,
also comes back to you as well, right? In karma.
yes,
So if you
yes.
do good unto the world, that will be reflected to you eventually. I like that idea, but I'm quite agnostic. So unfortunately, that's not how I see the universe. But I think it would be a nice way to see the universe if I was capable of that. So
Yes, I'm not a believer of sorts on this, but it's a nice idea. I would agree to that. And this concept of reincarnation can be found in the book called Bhagavad Gita, and where uh, it's mentioned in the second chapter of the book.
could could you type that? I was muted. Could you type that in the chat? that book because I don't know how to spell that. But if
Yeah,
anyone's
okay.
interested in looking it up, that'd be great.
Yes, I'll type that. Yes.
Oh, nice. Okay, so this is you know, I it seems like a much nicer religion than other religions that I know of. Christianity and Islam and even Judaism, they all kind of, well, Christianity as far as the New Testament, not as much, but in the Old Testament and in from my vague understanding of the Quran, there is violence is condoned in some situations, and it really sounds like in Hinduism in these sacred books, like it's not. It's like don't be violent, don't kill people. You know, is that accurate? Would you say?
Yes, yes, but it's not actually uh, the whole community feels that way because there are rigidly uh, various sorts of beliefs that people subscribe to. So uh, this
Right.
is just probably one among it.
Yeah, that's interesting. So that happens a lot in like say Christianity or Islam as well. There's certain tenets that it's
Yeah,
like, you know, love thy neighbor, right? In Christianity, but you have plenty of people who call themselves Christians who don't do that, who actually end up hating people, and that's not what Christianity is supposed to be about. But at the same time, they consider themselves to be Christian. So you're saying a similar thing happens in Hinduism? Is that at all similar? Am I getting it?
Uh, I'm sorry, I couldn't catch you again. Could you repeat it?
Sure, sure. So some people say that they're Christians, and Christian advocates peace and loving thy neighbor. Actually, that might be Old Testament. I forget, but it definitely condones being kind to your fellow human beings. But not all people who call themselves Christians do that. Like take Cortez, the
Hmm.
Spanish explorer, for instance, who ended up massacring a bunch of people in the name of Christianity. But if you read the New Testament, that's not what you're supposed to do. So would
Right.
you say that a similar thing is happening with Islam or
Yes.
not? Sorry, I'm sorry, Hinduism. Um, would you say a similar thing is happening? Like people are saying that they're practicing Hindus, but they're not actually doing what's in the text.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. I would generally agree to that what you just said right now because you could see a lot of such events happening in the country.
Well,
Because let me tell you, there's one thing
sure.
when someone tries to you know talk about some facts or their interpretation of the religion and uh, people just get offended and they just try to go rogue against that person, and there are a lot of instances when that person has ended up in jail.
Right. Just because of the whole government going on in India, which is that is unfortunate.
And not just the government, but the people would just go ruthless on that person. uh they would just think that it hurts their sentiments and just offends them, because when you just speak ill of the god, or if you just mock or even insult, it's just going to affect the whole community when such instances happen.
A lot of countries have that view, which I believe is unfortunate. I think that you have to take criticism against your institution in order to have a good institution. If your institution is actually valid, it should stand up to any criticism. So,
Yes, and And these people are the ones who have little to no idea about what Hinduism is, but they just, they just want to go ruthless against the person or anybody who just does it. And there are quite a few writers in my state uh, where this where these people just write about something that's against God, and people would just hate him and they just go rogue about it. But that's not what Hinduism is about. They just have little to no idea what Hinduism is about.
That's a pretty typical human thing, where if someone goes against your worldview, a lot of times the reaction is that you're threatened, and you need to hate that person to defend your point, which I don't think is a good reaction to your worldview being challenged. But that is unfortunately, uh, a lot of times that's the reaction, and that happens here in the U.S. With politics in addition to religion, which I think
Hmm.
is a real problem. I think all of humanity suffers from this. So,
Yeah.
what else would you like to tell me about Hinduism? Like, what are some of like the like what are some of the religious observances? So in Christianity, you typically go to church on Sundays,
Hmm.
or mass if
Yeah.
you're Catholic. So what's done in Hindu?
Oh, a lot of practices in Hinduism. Like I think yesterday was one sorts where you just have to fast for a day and probably eat during the end of the day. I mean, that is night. It's called as Ekadashi,
Okay.
and I believe it's a Sanskrit word. Uh, People visit temples on such day and they just go fasting, and uh, and at night you're allowed to have food, and during the day you can uh, just have water, and I believe so. This is
Is
one
that
of
that is
such
that every
practices that's followed.
is that every Saturday? Did you say?
Not exactly. Oh, I forgot to talk about a Hindu calendar. Like, unlike the Gregorian calendar, there are certain dates and events that's just exclusive to Hindu calendar. So you cannot just point out and say that it's just every Saturday, because this one just follows a different calendar. And
So the
so,
week is different.
oh yes, the week is different and the months are different, and they they have different months in this, and the New Year is a different thing in Hinduism as well.
I mean I guess just like the Christian week in calendar. I guess it's like the Roman week in calendar. I forget where they started doing it, but it's just so common in my life that it's difficult to even think that people might have a different idea of what the week is. Is it still 7 days, or is it more than 7 days, or is it?
Uh, I really don't know
Oh,
about
oh
how
wow.
many days about that. Uh, but yeah, there is a lot of differences. And what day is today? Let's say for me, oh yeah, it's for you as well. It's 8th February, and
It is Monday.
uh,
It is Monday in California, by the U.S. reckoning of the days of the week.
yes, but uh, not sure about the days. But let's say it's 8th February today. Just
Mm-hmm.
keep this idea in mind.
Sure.
And the next February 8th, we arrive. It's going to be a difference in the Hindu calendar, which is why we won't be celebrating festivals, which is why Hinduism doesn't celebrate festivals the same day or the same date you celebrated in the previous year. Like, just how you celebrate uh, Christmas on December 25th every year.
Right.
It's not going to be that way in Hindu calendar.
I see. Well,
Yes, it follows a different, uh, a whole new uh, dates and timeline in Hinduism.
but well, that's a bit confusing, but also makes a bit of sense that other people from a different historical background have come to other conclusions as far as how the calendar is. That really makes sense that people have different ideas about that. But I would like to cover one more like subsection to the topic of Hinduism before we move on. So
Hmm.
how about vegetarianism as far as its relation to Hinduism? And you're a vegetarian yourself, right?
Yes, I'm a vegetarian. I was born a vegetarian. Uh, so
Is that can you be
Hindus,
born? Can you be born that, or is it like they tell you when you're conscious that you're a vegetarian? I mean, I don't know. I'm more of the John Locke blank slate sort of thing. So I don't know that you can be born a vegetarian, or a Hindu or a Christian or anything like that. But anyway, I know what you mean. Um, so what is this vegetarianism's relation to Hindu?
uh, well, vegetarianism and Hinduism has, a deep interlinked connection with it. But as far as I've seen, it's Hinduism has people, both meat eaters as well as the vegetarians. So uh, again, coming to this uh, aspect, it's against the idea of non-violence again,
Right. So you
and
shouldn't kill animals to perpetuate human existence, especially with that idea of reincarnation. I would imagine that these animals might eventually be humans one day, right? So
yes,
you probably shouldn't kill them because that might come back to you. At
y-
least some
uh,
Hindus believe this. Is that right? Is that a reason to not kill animals, in addition to just respecting all life?
well, a lot of perspectives on this one, because uh, some Hindus avoid eating meat because it minimizes hurting other lives, and there's another aspect which is called as SanQuake, which is purifying the body and the mind lifestyle. And it's actually prescribed in some of the ancient Hindu texts about this. But you would actually find people, uh, both vegetarians and non-vegetarians in Hinduism, unlike Buddhism, which just has vegetarians in it. And uh, there's a certain uh, a community. It's called as, I think it's Vaishnavites. These people refrain from eating onion and garlic during certain period during during the year.
Oh, because these things are nice, and you should just not do things that you enjoy. Christianity is a lot about that sort of thing too. Um,
Hmm.
I don't understand the not eating onions and garlic. I get the not killing animals, not eating animals, but onions and garlic, come on, those are vegetables. You might as well, like, just those ones. Just those ones taste good. Uh, but anyway, that
Well,
aside, I just wanted to do one more thing on the topic of Hinduism. Actually, anyone in the chat who is listening, do you guys have a question for SanQuake about Hinduism? Guys.
let's wait. Bring them up.
But yeah, guys, I'll give you a couple seconds, and if we don't get anything, I'll just continue onwards, because we've already spent about 30 minutes on this, so this is fine. And anybody, guys, I see that there's 6 people in there, which is encouraging. But does anyone have any questions about Hinduism? It's an interesting thing. Oh well, James cannot think of any. But thanks
I
for
can't think
watching.
of.
Um, Well, actually, why don't we just? How about you get like to say something to wrap up Hinduism to kind of, you know, put a end cap on this topic here.
Well, uh, Hinduism is a very old religion, and it's not. I'm not sure if it's
I think it's the world's
quite
oldest
reached in the
religion.
West.
I think it's the world's oldest religion, is what I've heard.
Could be, yeah, could be, but it's definitely one of the world's one of the oldest religion, and it has vast scriptures and sacred text as Hindus term it, and you just cannot uh, clinch on to one particular view on the whole Hinduism because it has vast scriptures and ancient
So
texts in it.
there's a lot of variety in the beliefs. They're not as straightforward as like say Judaism or Christianity or Islam. Because those have
Not
just one book.
exactly.
Although in
Yes.
in Christianity especially, there's a ridiculous amount of interpretations of how you should do Christianity. So maybe that's somewhat similar, but I think what you're talking about is the actual text of Hindu has a lot of variation to it. So
Yes.
that is
None,
interesting. I think.
yep. I would say that. But I wouldn't say uh, I wouldn't say it as way too easy on the surface to just call it as it's just more than one interpretation, but it's it has a legit text as well, and it has some epics uh, dated back to ancient times. Let's say a few thousand years ago is what I think. But yes, so these epics have a new way of teachings, and a lot of interpretations can be made of those epics.
Right. Well, I know a little bit more about Hinduism, but I just think that it is the surface. We have just scratched the surface of the monolith or iceberg or whatever. So let's go ahead and
Yeah.
move on to our next thing. Is that okay, SanQuake? Did I do that too abruptly?
No, no,
It was beautiful. It was a beautiful segue, I thought. So
smooth.
let's go on to our second point. So we'd like to talk about the cultural and lifestyle differences in different regions of India. So SanQuake, what say you? You would know about this, I would think, at least more than like people outside of India would know.
Yeah, I mean, each direction, each part has its own lifestyles and subcultures attached to it.
Right.
And like I said, the northern part and the southern part and the western part and the northeastern part has its own cultural practices and rituals
So which
and what
which part of India are you in?
the south part.
Okay. How would you say
And
like what's the difference in culture between like the south and the north? I think we were talking yesterday and you were saying that there are actually a lot of different groups as far as culture goes within India, which makes sense because it's a large country. But like just kind of highlight some differences. Like southern is more it'd be more tropical, right? Because it's closer to the equator. So it'd be warmer in the south, right?
yes, it's warmer in the south, yes, and especially the south at most is probably the hottest with the highest humidity there, and
Makes sense.
uh, it gets cooler as you move towards the northern part of the country.
I'm sure that influences the culture and how people live. So what are some differences? Like maybe say like how things are done in the South, like what sort of foods you eat, or other aspects of your culture. Please enlighten me.
Yeah, it starts from language at first, and a lot of people confuse it with this that saying that India is just inclined with Hindi being the national language, but clearly Hindi isn't the national language. It's just one of the official languages, and English is another official language of the country. So we do not have a national language. A lot of people in the south do not speak Hindi, and it's fine. And people imposing on the languages, it's leads to disputes and a lot of uh, ruthless fights. It just keeps happening, or it used to happen before.
So the language is different. Remind me, I kind of missed that. So, what's spoken in the South mainly?
Uh, South has four states basically. Four states, which is uh, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, and Telangana. Five, sorry. So uh, the it's five now because one state was merged. I mean, was split into two before it was merged,
Right.
and so each of the state has its own language. Like my state has one language, and Tamil Nadu has one language, and Andhra has one language. Each state has its own language basically. But when it comes to North, it has its own languages too. But Hindi is
Do they speak
mostly spoken
Arabic?
there.
Do they speak Arabic in the North?
Arabic, not maybe, but not majorly.
Because I was just
Not
thinking
as
about
a
the
main.
proximity to like Pakistan, um, and to like the Middle East, really. Because like India kind of borders the Middle East there, so I was wondering if that had influence, but I guess like not as much to your knowledge at least. Uh,
There's this language called as Urdu, uh, which is
that's
uh,
Pakistani, right? Like they speak that in Pakistan. Is that right?
not just Pakistan, it's spoken in India as
Oh,
well.
okay.
Uh, Urdu is one of those languages which has its roots from uh, a little bit of Hindi
Right.
and Arabic as well, of course, but uh, it's a whole different language. But you could find similarities between Arabic and Urdu. I mean, if not on a large scale, probably you would find certain similarities between both of them.
That makes sense to me. Generally, that happens when countries are next to each other. They have a lot of exchange of ideas and of language and culture. So, what's like? How about some cultural things? Like, how do people live? Like, give me. I just like some examples. Like, I'm not really sure. Like, when I think of the culture of India, I kind of think of like the dot. What's the dot called? Between the our just above the nose on the forehead.
Oh, the dots is uh, the one red dot which you see. It's called as kunkuma in my language, but it's called different in Hindi. I'm sure about that.
What's the purpose of that?
It has its own religious significance of it.
So it's a religious thing. It's not. It also seems like an aesthetic thing because I really think that it adds a lot to someone's face if you see like a red dot in the right on their forehead there. It's interesting. I enjoy it. I think it's a good look. Um,
Yes, yes, it does make a face look better, of course.
um,
But
so
uh, it's actually used mainly for religious marker, actually.
okay, but like, is that done like throughout India? Like everybody uses that pretty much?
Uh, Not really. Again, it has its own diversity and the religion.
So that's what I was
Because
trying to get at. Like, where is it not used? Do they don't do it in certain parts of India?
uh, they do it different ways actually. So, let's say you're a follower of the Lord Shiva. You just get three white lines on your forehead.
Okay.
uh, and you Vaishnava or a follower of the Lord Vishnu, it's in a different way. It's a typical U-shaped red color mark on your forehead.
So it's as far as what deity you follow, that's what this is.
Yes, yes. It's
What's the dot? Which
sorry.
one is that? I'm sorry if you told me already.
Oh, the deity.
Yeah, the deity. Who does the dot? Which one is that?
Uh, the dot. You mean just a single dot? You mean?
Yeah, that's the one that I've seen all the time.
Oh, okay. So that's like uh, that's like what it's called as vermilion, or in Hindi it's called as Sindhu. It's mostly something married women apply on their forehead as a part of religious beliefs and as well as a symbol of marriage.
I see.
Yeah, it's both actually, as symbol of marriage and as well as part of religious beliefs.
Okay, so it's a woman only thing.
Yes, and if you see any a man on his forehead red dot, it's pertaining to his religious belief.
Okay.
And uh, but yeah, I think that's just a red dot would be like a general one.
That seems that seems kind of like a bad thing to me as far as we kind of talked about this briefly. I think this probably would have been a good topic for today. So we don't have time to go in super detail, but like how women are
Yes,
treated in
so
India.
on.
Like the red dot is just kind of like, to me, that says this woman is married, don't mess with her. Which is kind of really objectifying women, and that's I don't think that's good. I think that's really bad. What do you think? Do you think that there's any truth to what I'm saying, that it does objectify women?
Uh, well, it's actually a very complex thing to talk about.
It is, but go for it. It's fine. Just go. Don't let the complexity of an issue dissuade you from talking about it. It doesn't for me. So, uh,
I haven't actually really thought about how it objectifies really.
well,
I haven't really
so
thought about it
rings
before,
rings
but
kind of do that as well, as far as using a ring
yes,
to signify that you're married to someone. But the difference with
exactly.
that is the man actually wears a ring as well. But
Yeah.
it's essentially territory marking, which if both people are wearing the ring, I'm not as troubled by it, because it's like both of them are claiming the other person. But if it's just the woman wearing the red dot and it's like, oh, she's married, you know, I don't like that they've singled women out to get the red dot. Like, it doesn't seem cool. Actually, it not just I don't think that puts a that expresses how strongly I feel about that. I think that is counterproductive to human progress. Treating
Right.
women like that.
Exactly. Yeah. I I I agree to that. I agree to your point. And honestly saying, I haven't really thought about this thing until today.
Oh well, just so SanQuake recommended because I met him in Practical Stoic, like every guest that I've had so far. Well, I've only had 2 guests so far. SanQuake is doing his second appearance today. So anyway, when I met SanQuake, like I asked him to recommend some Indian movies to me, and one of those was Dango, which is about these girls who become national level wrestlers because their dad, he wanted a son but he didn't have one, and then so he ends up training his girls because he realizes that they also have a lot of potential to be really good wrestlers, and it's just like an empowering sort of thing, and it's great. But also in the movie, you see kind of how women are treated, and this is like really recent, like 2010 is when these events are going on. Maybe shortly before that, because it shows their childhood as well. But like, what troubles me is just like that women are treated so poorly in modern India. Is just so they became wrestlers, and that was like a great thing for them, but they were talking about how like it is typical for an Indian woman to just get married and have children, and that's not what a human being's life should be about. There's many other things involved in being a human being, and
Totally.
it's unfair to because of history essentially have women
Yep.
do one particular role. So yeah,
Back to the kitchen.
I wish that India would get with the program. I mean, I honestly think that China probably has more respect for their women than India does, which is not that's not a good standard. China is so backward in so many ways, but that is a whole another iceberg over there that I don't want to think about right now. Chat. I would like to take this opportunity to reach out to you and see if you would like to suggest a topic for SanQuake and myself to talk about. Or maybe you have a question for either one of us. Like, I'm pretty awesome, so I could probably answer any question if I know the answer to it. So, just go ahead. Anybody? Anybody wanna ask me something? Wanna ask SanQuake something? Wanna introduce something for us to talk about? Like on Friday, the topic was Pokemon, and that was fun. I really loved talking about Pokemon with Feligan for 10 minutes. That was quite the treat. Any ideas? Chat.
You got 5 people watching.
Yeah, I
Come on.
know. I know. Somebody, give me a topic. Give me a topic. I need you guys to help out. James, do something. give me something I can talk about for like 13 minutes or so. It can be super light. It can be something funny. It can be anything. I think that this will be easier if this is more successful. I'm a little disappointed today. I mean, I thank everyone who's here, but on Friday we had a lot of people, and maybe it's because I was talking to Feligan, maybe it's because I was playing Dark Souls. But
Right.
I hopefully in the
Maybe
future
people don't wanna watch
I'll have a lot of
Oxygen not inside.
SanQuake. Thank you for that. So anyway,
Well,
I will come up with a topic then, and I'm gonna type it in the chat.
oh wait, we got one actually.
World War III on China in the next 5 to 10 years. Thank you, buddy. This is great. Yeah, let's talk about China. I love talking about China because I'm incredibly afraid of China. So it's just such a fun topic. Let's see.
Yeah.
I
We love China.
I do. Uh, SanQuake, do you think that China will actually start taking military action? Or do you think that they will they will provoke military action by what they're doing essentially in the South China Seas, but like also if they like invade Taiwan. Do you think that's actually going to happen, or are they going to avoid that because that would destroy the world's economy?
Uh, I don't think they're going to invade Taiwan's economy for some reason.
No,
Probably
I meant
because
like physically invade Taiwan and take it over. There's a lot of history
oh
to that I'm not going to get into right now if nobody knows it, but you should look up the history of Taiwan. So we're not talking so much about the evil of China. We're talking about their potential to go to war, to just kind of start a war. So I think that they could do it, because
do you think? What do you think? That do you think they're going to invade Taiwan again?
I don't. I agree with you. I don't think they'll invade Taiwan. They haven't. They haven't ever invaded Taiwan. Well, unless you count the Nationalist Party fleeing to Taiwan and taking it over, that is definitely an invasion. But I'm talking about the People's Republic of China. They have never invaded Taiwan.
Yeah.
So I don't think they'll invade Taiwan. But what really concerns me about what they're doing is what they're doing in the South China Sea, which is their holdings there. They're building extra land, which I think that's against some convention, is that you can't build things in the ocean. So they're kind of pushing the envelope right there. That's typical to China. They really try to get away with things as much as they can. They just they don't really play by the rules that other people are playing by. So my concern is that they're going to get to a point in the South China Sea where the U.S. is actually going to send in military forces, or they're going to send in the Navy, the U.S. Navy, and China might react to that by starting a small-scale conflict, and then who knows where it will go from there. Like, that is my concern. I don't know that will happen. I would like to think that China is intelligent enough, because they are very intelligent. Although it's a totalitarian regime and all that, I like to think that they're smart enough to know that war with the U.S. would be bad for everyone. So I hope that they don't do it, but that's my main worry, is that they will get to a point where the U.S. has to do something to stop how they're encroaching on like Filipino territory, that sort of thing, and just like trying to get the South China Sea under their control, even though it's yeah. So that's the whole thing. What were you going to say, SanQuake?
Wait, what was I saying? I was asking you, what do you think about the Chinese migrating to Taiwan? And
I don't know a lot about that. How are the Chinese migrating to Taiwan?
I think I just kind of read about it.
So you're talking about the Chinese that are in the People's Republic of China immigrating to the Republic of China, which is Taiwan's real name, by the way.
Right. Yes.
So, what do you mean they're immigrating? I haven't heard of this. I tend to not follow the news.
Oh, me neither. But I just know this happened back then, but I don't know the complete backstory of this. So, if anybody in the chat knows about this, could you
Damn it,
talk about
SanQuake! You can't rely on the chat for information. Not with such a small group. I greatly respect the chat. Thanks, guys, for watching. But SanQuake, if you bring something up, you have to know about it.
No, which is why I asked you at first if you know about it.
Oh no, I don't. So let's talk about something that we do know about. So anyway, will World War III actually happen with China? I don't think so. I don't think it will happen. But there is a potential there. I am worried about it. But I think like the Cold War between the U.S. and the Soviet Union, there was a lot of posturing, there was a lot of like threats, but in the end, nothing happened. Although it got pretty close. But I just think that people recognize that modern war could escalate to nuclear war in just no time.
Right.
So that would destroy the world. That would destroy the world's economy, and it would destroy the world's environment, because nuclear weapons are... Really, I think nuclear weapons are a good step for humanity. A lot of people might not see it like that, but if you consider, since World War II, we have had no large-scale global conflicts. And I certainly believe that is because of nuclear weapons. It prevents the superpowers from fighting each other because they know that the other side has nukes. And I think that's a good thing. It's awful that that's what it took humanity to stop doing global conflicts, is the threat of total annihilation. But, you know, if that's what had to be, then alright, I'll take it. SanQuake, any thoughts on the possibility of World War III with China?
I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, but there is definitely a possibility of it as far as I can see.
Right.
Uh, maybe not in this decade is what I think.
Well, hopefully it's past my lifetime, because then it's not my problem, right? I'll just be dead. And it'll be fine. As long as China doesn't nuke the US within my lifetime, then it's well, sorry guys, you might outlive me, but it's not my problem. Not to say that I'm not going to try to make a good impact on the world personally, or like benefit the environment personally. Like, I'll do everything that I can, but also I am not greatly concerned as far as to what happens after my death. So that's just my personal philosophy. Sorry about anyone who might outlive me. Sorry about this. SanQuake, any closing thoughts? Did you want to talk more about China? Did you want to talk about something else for 4 minutes? Because I love talking about China. I love Chinese culture. Not the communist part, but
yeah.
I've seen a lot of Chinese movies, and I'm gonna make in the Discord, I'm gonna start recommending movies and like anime that I love, and books, and definitely there's quite a few Chinese movies. If anyone wants to see a really good Chinese movie that really kind of gives you a good feel of modern China. Oh, we don't have quite enough time for K-drama. Also, I don't know much about K-drama.
Yeah, me neither.
Because I haven't seen a lot of Korean. I've seen some Korean movies, but I haven't seen like their drama. But here's the movie that I'm talking about. I recommend that everyone here watches it. It's a fantastic movie. So it's called A Touch of Sin. And I'll probably put that up. Well, yeah, they have good production, but generally the movies that come out of China are usually like propaganda of some form. Or if they at all address the Chinese government, they're saying something really great about they're talking about how great the Chinese government is, which is like, that's not a good way for cinema to go. But somehow A Touch of Sin like gets away with it. Like it's more about the real life in China, and I'm not sure if it's produced in China, but it seems like the sort of film that you would get in trouble for. But the production on it is very good. But if you're talking about like more of their like martial arts style movies, I generally don't really like those movies because they're vapid, in my opinion. Oh, you're talking about Korean stuff. That's entirely different. South Korea is a relatively free country, relative to China, at least. I thought you were talking about the production in Chinese movies. Um, well, I'm gonna kind of draw the episode to a conclusion. I'd really like more viewers. Well, I mean, for obvious reasons, but also so I can interact with the chat a bit more. Just when yes, China has a lot of secret stuff going on. They certainly
Yep,
do.
you never know that.
Um, although they claim that they don't. Nope, they're an open book as far as what they claim. Uh,
Yo, buddy.
um, but anyway, I would like more of a chat. So like when I asked, hey buddy, this is not you cannot use that word in the chat. Sorry about that. Um, so anyway, anyway, sorry, I just distracted by that. Anyway, I'd like more viewers, so I can have more of a base when I do try to talk to the chat. It'd be great to have like people throwing out like several questions out there. It's okay, buddy. I need to make it. I need to actually have the rules like pop up in the Twitch channel so people know about it. Cause I didn't say anything. You don't have any knowledge about it. It's okay. Um, so anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and wrap up this episode. If you guys like this, please let other people know, because I'm really small right now, but I enjoy doing these podcast segments, and I think that I'd like to talk to a lot of people around a lot of the world, and learn some stuff, and then like tell people some stuff that they didn't know. Like I learned some stuff about Hinduism today that I didn't know, and I think that's interesting. So SanQuake, thanks for being guest star today.
I appreciate it.
Sure. And again, SanQuake is a super famous YouTuber, so I'm gonna take this opportunity to go ahead and plug his YouTube into the chat here, and also this so this is SanQuake's YouTube homepage deal. Also, I'm going to put all of the episodes. I've just made a YouTube channel for the DWACAAM podcast thing, and that I'm getting the videos. I think I have episode 1 and 2 up there already, and I'm going to get 3 up there shortly. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. We're going to go ahead and sign off.
I'm not super famous.
He is super famous, guys. Don't let. He's just being humble. He's super famous YouTuber. Go watch his stuff, please.
No. Stop insulting me.
Stop interrupting you. Come on, it's a joke, buddy. Anyway, goodbye for now, everybody. I am going to stop streaming when I can find OBS and stop the stream.